Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome. This is the second in the process video for my small paper pad smash for January, so be sure you saw the first one. It always takes longer than I think it will. I set a timer for 5 minutes to remind me to restart the camera for you, and it went off. I'm sure it took me more than 10. I have all the cards ready now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finished, 3 UFO cards, all this ephemera stuff in here, and then we have things laid out and boxes. This is miscellaneous ephemera and stuff I fussy cut. These are all squares pretty much. They're the cut aparts and larger items from this. Things that fit in the jar, things that don't fit in the jar, large. This I wanted to touch up. 2 pieces of paper. When I smash, I learned long ago, I don't rush to cut every single one of the pieces as fast as I can and make card bases or ephemera. Sometimes it comes down to the end and maybe we're going to need a big strip for this or we're going to need something. So it's okay to have 2 fairly neutral papers, especially that you like, left at the end. Usually I have ones I don't like, so that's a pretty good situation to be in. We don't have too many. It's almost 3 o'clock, it's 66 degrees, and it's not raining. So what I'm thinking is, let's hurry, and then I want to run outside. We already filled our big green bin, but I'm thinking I could grab some hand clippers and a bucket or 2 and fill them, and Mr. Crafting and Relaxing could deal with that later in the week when the green bin goes down, or next week. Around here, dry and 66, you better get to it. And I did as much as I could earlier and then rested, but I'm back in the game. I left these 2 cards out because I want to show you something. A card front on an A2 card is 5.5 by 4.25. My norm is to cut my papers like this. So I have this border here. So this navy piece right here is 5.25 long by 4 inches wide. Sorry, like I said, I was working in the yard. So my nails are a little scary. And that leaves me this big white border, which is a little weird on these vintage cards. I used to mess all the time with cream colored bases and cream envelopes and white and white. It got way too hard at the craft fair, so I'm trying to avoid doing that. I'm just using white and white. But let me show you. This is okay, but if you make that front layer a lot bigger and knock that white to just a tiny border, it's better. I do not have the skills to cut my card front 5.5 by 4.25 and line it perfectly, but I can do 4 1/8-ish and 5 3/8-ish and manage to get it on the front. So that's something to think about. If you have limited supplies and your card base you don't love with your front, just make your fronts bigger. And then the other trick that I have for you is I always glue a scrap inside. I used to put it right up to the edge, but then I found when I close my card front, if it's not perfectly square, then I have to come back and trim it or it bothers me. So I just moved it in a little tiny bit. I leave white. I don't butt it up to the corner, and then I'm always happy with how it looks. So those are 2 other tricks. Okay, we're going to leave these out. We're going to find more scraps to put on them, and we're going to keep on smashing. We're not doing too bad. I almost never smash in one day. I kind of like this on here. This one is directional. This one, let's cut this with the decal scissors and then look at it and see what we think. I almost never smash in one day. I have to start the big stuff and then I come back and look at it. I feel like sometimes my friend Beth just sits down and smashes, but I don't think I do. I mean, maybe at the beach when all we do all day is craft. Yeah, I'm going to use it. We're trying to use up every bit. I love this paper. Yeah. Is it my best idea ever? I don't know. Decal and torn together, I kind of like. Honestly, I don't like covering up the clocks that much, but it's a cute little pocket. And then I can go back later and rearrange or move things. Yeah, she's too tall. They're all going to be too tall. I'm going to cut this down because I think I can make it work. And then I have round objects and round objects. I'm kind of repeating. Will that work? Yeah. That's a little better. So accents the little pocket. Okay, so I'm going to throw that into the done. Again, we need a little something there. I'm not sure if when the smash video comes out, it's going to look any different or it's going to look just the same. Oh, this would be a cute one too. We'll put that on something. My trash box is on the floor and the tiny kitty is still asleep. Oops, I don't know if you saw any of that, sorry. Anyway, let me show you. This is how it turned out and we put that in there. Let's get smashing. I like this one. We can make ephemera with it. This one needs to be vertical. This one can do anything we want. Vertical. It's supposed to be horizontal. I love this though. Let's use it on here. Yeah. These two are, yeah, exactly the same width. Okay. Vertical. This one would go great on that card. I don't love this paper, honestly. And I don't want to take paper that I love. This blue floral, I absolutely love. I'm a sucker for a blue floral and put it with this. I just don't want to. I just won't be as excited to send you that card. I'd be a lot more excited to send you that card. Another thing you can do is you can get out cardstock and layer. You could have gray or cream or white, whatever. But we are smashing and we are doing things today, people. Okay, now, because this paper, one thing about this paper that I found challenging, and we could probably use this one actually, is it didn't really have a paper that I felt was great for stamping sentiments on. And I was thinking I could use cream or khaki. I could use this. Let's think about this for a minute. It might be a little much, but we got to smash it, and smashing forces you to try new things. This is another reason that you don't want to cut all your paper and get all like gung-ho, choppy, chop, which I do sometimes, because then you have big enough to die cut from. In fact, we could use this scrap and then test it and see how we like. Some stamps just go with anything. I wish I knew where my Night of Navy is. I'm going to run down the hall and see if it is in my beach go box. Not my trash box, but my like grab and go for the weekend. I'm thinking that might be where it is. I'll be right back. While it would be really smart to have an ink pad in my beach box, I did not see it there. Majestic blue is probably too bright for this. I think I really, really could use Night of Navy here. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to give up hope of finding my Night of Navy and just go for it? Let's stamp some little word on here and then see how the color is. Oh, here we go. Let's use a little butterfly, because I don't know if I'm going to use a thing that says sweet with such a formal image. So let's just give her a butterfly. Yeah, she's too bright. Way too bright. Let's put it on here. Yeah, no. This is Gina K ink that Noni just gave me for my birthday. Much better. Darker, less, still not great. I mean, this is dark. The funny thing is, my Night of Navy pad has a note on the top that says that it's too dark for most things, because it would go great with this. Let's just go black. In which case, there's no point in stamping on her because we don't need to test it. We know what black looks like. Let's take this piece of paper. Let's find a sentiment that we would like. No. Oh, this is a fun one, okay? It says, well-behaved women rarely make history. And let's put it on this one with vintage stuff. And then maybe we'll put women's faces. And let's put it this way. I don't know this stamp very well. I'm not totally sure if I've used it. Maybe in a journal once. Okay, I think it's readable. I don't love the font. You know, it's that cutesy 2004. We probably should have been done with that font by 2004, quite frankly. It was a little dated then. Now, I'm going to not play with this because this is VersaFine. It's going to take a minute. What we might as well do is find another sentiment. This one might be kind of nice. These are really formal papers. And I think This one will be big and bold and easy to read, whereas the Well-Behaved Women font is a little fine for, can't talk and stamp. For this paper. There we go. Now that's cutting it close to cut those two apart, but I think if we let them dry all the way, two different sentiments for our cards, and we could probably mat them with navy or green. Another reason that when I was putting the cards, you didn't necessarily see it, but when I did the insides, I tried to use the patterns as much as I could. This is boring, so I didn't want to use it too much inside, and you can use it for matting your sentiments if you haven't finished everything. And I have learned over time that I don't like to wait till the very last minute to put my scraps on the inside of the cards, because sometimes I run out of things that I feel like match. I just have to use a random paper that wasn't actually in the card. And it helps me get an idea of how many of my smaller scraps I could use up, because I used a bunch of things out of this jar. Okay, so we have to let those dry for a minute. So let's assume this would be a nice, I said a prayer for you today. So maybe we're going that way, and then we still need something to do with that one. Those aren't going to work on either one. I don't think. Nope, that's not going to work. Nope. I'm toying with the idea of using this for ephemera. We have a lot of fun verticals. So what if we think about something that makes a vertical pocket? We don't even necessarily need the back one. We could do this one. That's the cutest part of that paper. And that one. Then we'd show a bunch of that. We just glue them at the edges. Yeah, let's do it. You're going to watch this and be like, seriously? That's how hard you're working? That is. I'm going to punch two of them together because I don't think I can punch three. Two might even be a stretch. I'm going to look and go, yeah, that's probably right. This might be why I break punches, by the way. Maybe don't do what I do. Then I'm going to take this one and put it on here. Now, they're not exactly the same length, probably because I got them out of one of those pads that had glue at the end. So I probably just cut them enough to get any adhesive off the ends or tear them out nicely and then get the clean edge. I didn't actually measure them to 6. Okay. Now I wanted them like this. Now let's line these up. You know what? We'll just chop the ends at the end. We'll chop the ends at the end. Do we want to ink it? Yes, because this one will pop a little better. There's a certain freedom in just hurrying, like just saying, okay, I'm on a deadline. I want to wrap this up. If you're not a YouTuber, you're like, why do you people make up these weird challenges? I don't know why we do it, honestly. When I first started watching, I was like, what's a smash this pad? And what's a collab? And what's a... Now, collab is thing you do with your friends. Challenge is one of your friends had an idea and you want to try it. So my friend Beth had the idea that we should smash a small pad at the end of every month. And I have small pads. And so does our friend Kathy. And so we do it. It's not a rule. And it's our friends. So, I mean, I could just call them and go, hey guys, I'm not going to be on time. But I'm telling you, there's something kind of fun about it. It's sort of like when you procrastinate and you have to make all those gifts for work and you think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it. And then they turn out amazing and people are so happy. And you're like, wow, I did it. It's like that. Okay. I am going to put these here. We don't want to glue it to my cutter and we don't have a base page, remember? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on this about as far up as I think I want the pocket. I have managed to leave my glue uncovered way too long. There we go. About as far, I think I probably want it to go about there. And lucky for me, this has like little lines on it. So I'm going to go there. Then we already decided we want the brown one to be next. So I'm going to take the brown one. I'm going to line it up on that ridge with my cutter. So it's, I mean, it's got to be pretty straight. It doesn't exactly have to be the same length, but it has to be straight. There we go. I'm going to pick it up, make sure I didn't glue it down. If you get too much glue, it's going to squish out, but if you pick it up and clean off your cutter, and if you think my cutter doesn't have glue on it, you're dreaming. Then I'm going to do just pretty much the same thing. I'm going to put some glue right here. I'm not going to put it all the way up, remember, because I want the brown paper to show. Then I'm going to cover up the glue, lay this down. I might have wanted the brown to show a little more. See how my green and my brown, but honestly, I like the green better anyway. Okay, now I'm wiping off the glue. There we go. Get the glue off the edge. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, okay, remember, don't glue in the middle because these are pockets. We're just pretending the paper goes all the way over. Do we want a rounded edge? Well, we're going with that old-fashioned kind of photo look at least. So we probably should at least nip them. Let's go with a 4, just a tiny. And when you go to put your journal together, if you have some pre-made ephemera and you say, this doesn't really work for this journal because I already did square corners or I already did rounded. Well, you probably have the ink that you inked it with and you have paper cutters, you can make changes. Now this is perfectly ready to lay down on a page. The only thing I would say, advice for you from me to not do what I do, I have a tendency to build everything the same way. Have you noticed that? It goes, the stuff tucks in on the right-hand side, maybe because I'm super right-handed. So we should have built one the other way. If it wasn't directional papers, I'd flip it. Now, when I go to glue it on a page, I'm just going to go glue, 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 and put it down. I'm not going to let it be a tuck spot from the left because it'll be a hot mess with these pockets. I need it to be glued down. The other way you could do it is you could glue like an L and leave this part and come in from the top. Let me show you what I'm trying to spit out. So if you left it like an L, you could put a piece of paper like this. I'm not going to do that, I don't think, when I glue it down because I want it to be tight and keep my pockets nice and tidy. But you have some options. You're the creator. Okay? We're good, except for ephemera. And I might do the ephemera watching TV. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how we're doing for time. And daylight. Because daylight is our most precious commodity. Dry, warm weather? Like, what is this nonsense? Okay, now, hopefully this is dry. Versamark or VersaFine can be a real turkey sometimes. I'm going to go in super close because that piece of paper was too small, quite honestly. I cut it. I got a little conservative or a little cheap with the paper. There we go. Okay, this would look really nice on a vertical is what I'm thinking. Yep, here. And then with the green, ooh. And that, my friends, is sometimes how I decide how big the paper should be. I almost never like things centered, so I'm going to put that like that. This one, I'm going to cut, hopefully, to the length of the blue, which, because I didn't cut everything exactly the same, remember how I was talking about my card fronts? I don't know what that size is. So this is probably 5 3/4. This is probably 5 1/2 or 1/4. Let's try 5 1/4. See how that works. If it's too short, then that's how we wanted it, and we'll go with it. Okay, I think that works there. Then we'll have this, and maybe, is this big enough? Almost. I think we'll put it like that. So sometimes that's how I decide. I think it's fun if not everything you make always has the same size border or the same style. And when you're smashing things, you can be inspired by scraps. Well, anytime. I mean, you could be inspired by your own little scrap box if you got it out and just started making stuff, right? There we go. Now, this paper is nice quality, but not so nice that it doesn't need a layer behind it. I mean, most of the time, you need a little something if you're not going to line things up. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I don't want this in the middle because I am me. So let's go like this. Maybe a little low, but that's okay. Then we'll put this. We're actually going to put that. Oh no, we're going to put it right there. So what we need is just a little That's too wide. Plus, I really like that paper. Let's use some of this brown. We've got a lot of brown scraps in here, just plain brown, because I didn't use them in the cards. Here we go. So I just want a layer of brown. Well, it doesn't have to be brown. I want a layer of my least favorite paper that came from this pad on the back of this, so it's not floppy, so that it is supported when I glue it on. And I'm going to put glue on that layer, and then I'm going to put glue down here. This is not a trade secret. You will see lots and lots of us do it. There we go. So we made a nice card for somebody and done. And I do get, that is a sentiment that one of my frequent buyers likes. So I know she will like that card. I don't usually put my cards for sale on Etsy because I'm very, very lazy. If you want to buy cards from me, I usually sell them in a group on Etsy just because of shipping. Because I only charge like a couple dollars each. I'm not like a $5 a card person. And I just don't like to mess with things. Now, if you glue it down and then you look at it and go, oh, it's way wider on the left or the right or whatever, and you need to move it, then you just trim it. I mean, sometimes it's too late and you can't pull it off without damaging it. No problem. Just trim that one side off and pretend you wanted it that way. So we repeated. We put the patch on the bottom because that's where the patch is needed. We put it down, and then I don't totally trust this ink yet, so I'm going to put a piece of paper on it. And there we have another card. And I already put the scraps inside, so these are done. Now, what are we going to do with this one, people? We have no more scraps of that paper, except for this whole piece that I threw over there for some reason. Not quite sure. Here's what I think we should do for speed. You've probably seen our friend Christy Marcotte do this before. She does it a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go 4 1/4 so that I'm making it almost as big as my base, like we talked about, so it'll look nicer. There we go. Then I'm going to, why don't we make, I'm looking for which sentiment do I want. Now, there's going to be dry time on this plan, so I think what I'm going to do is go out in the yard and you're going to see it done. I'm going to take this. I'm going to stamp it right here. This is going to seem crazy. Like, is she making the ugliest card ever? The most boring card she's ever made in her life? No. I'm going to let that dry. Then I'm going to die cut it with this. You know how sometimes when we're being miserly with our paper, we die cut out of that? I'm going to die cut with that. I'm going to have that as a layer. I'm probably going to put this, I don't know, clocks might not be appropriate for that kind of, like, maybe someone's sick. I don't know. It seems bad. You're waiting for results. I don't think so. So I think I'm going to use this over it if it's big enough. If I have to, I'll use that one. And then I'll layer it on something if we can pull it off. I'm not sure what. Depends on the size of the circles. But that will be my sentiment, and it will not touch that actual piece of paper when we're done. So I think we're going to wrap this up. You should have seen, by the time this video comes out, the way these work. There's a Smash That Small Pad video where I show you the finished project and do the collaboration with my friends. And then later, I like to show you the process video. So, I don't know. A couple days earlier, it probably came out. Match the parts up. You can always write me comments if I'm not labeling my videos well enough and you can't find the other part of something. You just let me know. Take care, and I hope you're taking time for crafting and relaxing. Bye-bye.